G'day. COVID-19 is the greatest opportunity this nation has ever had since World War II. That's right, you heard right. COVID-19 is the greatest opportunity this country has had since World War II. ANZAC Day is just around the corner, where we celebrate our heroes, men and women of courage, endurance, ingenuity, good humour, mateship, strong family values and a touch of larrikinism. They were men and women who were stoic, laconic and disdainful of class. What we're actually celebrating is their selfless sacrifice in their giving of themselves to us and for the common good of others. Later in our history, there were men and women along with our ANZACs who built this nation: the Italians, the Greeks, the Germans and the Brits. And now we see men and women of the RFS and the SES who sacrificed so much in the recent bushfires and the floods. It's funny how that word sacrifice comes up whenever we look at our heroes, or those that built this nation and those who protect it. And currently our nurses and those who remain at their posts in the supermarkets, they too are heroes. It's time the federal government stopped investing in the fear factor. It's time the federal government stopped getting involved in other people's dirty wars. It's time the federal government stopped selling the farm. Not happy, Scotty, would not begin to express how I feel. Albert Einstein said, if I had to choose between knowledge and imagination, I would choose imagination, because imagination has no limits. Australia, it's time for a new paradigm. It's time to be proactive instead of living on the back foot. If you want to live on the back foot, fine, but go live somewhere else. No government around the world has a clear idea of how they're going to cope with, survive and thrive after this disaster. Lee Kuan Yew, former Prime Minister of Singapore in 1980, said Australia was in danger of becoming the white trash of Asia. It's time we got off the back foot. It's time we got out from behind the 8 ball. It's time we stopped paddling up Schitt's Creek, or just accept what Lee Kuan Yew said, become the white trash of Asia. We have the greatest opportunity post-World War II to rebuild this country. Nation building is nothing new. Germany, Singapore, China, Europe after the Second World War, and all done in relatively short periods of time. The last time we saw national service was to go to war, to a war that we didn't belong to, or neither did anyone else for that matter. How ironic, another war that is driven by fear and panic. National service makes sense, as COVID-19 is a battle we are directly involved in, and it is our battle, yours and mine. How irresponsible could a government be to throw billions of taxpayers' hard-won money to the wind by paying people just to stay at home? The modelling suggests that we are talking some 800,000 to 1 million people, or ultimately leaving perhaps up to 6 million people unemployed. Now that's a big chunk of the workforce. That's a disaster with nothing to show for it. It's what I call a terminal disaster. If there was anything that would turn Australia into a quarry, it would be that. National service buys the food, it pays the rent, it pays the bills, it gives you health care and keeps you fit, and much more. In return for your service of this nation, you become a part of the ANZAC legend that has gone before you. We have the resources, we have the technology, we have the manufacturing, we have the energy, the food and the water. The only thing that's missing is you. We need you to support national service as an enterprise. The bonus is you could finish your degree with no HECS fees, or change to one of the many other fields that would be available. Nation building is nothing new. National service of this magnitude would allow us a secondary reserve that would support civil trade and labour shortages, like a land army for disaster relief, such as the RFS and the SES, for our hospitals and transport systems. I want you to think for yourselves and stay away from fools. They are the problem to every solution. Because there is a logical, common sense solution for each and every problem, and that is in this nation building ideology that we will face together. I want security for my children and grandchildren, particularly in the light of an aggressive annexation by a foreign power. Specifically with the day by day and month by month, year by year growing uncertainty of being able to rely on a sympathetic United States of America. I love the words of John F. Kennedy. Think not what your country can do for you, but rather what you can do for your country. Imagine you building a nation. Think about it, get excited, and pass it on. It's better than sitting inside and going broke.